Yo, hope you're having a great day. It's Neff, and I got you guys with my 11.1 complete Havoc Demon Hunter guide today. Do these guides every tier for Havoc, and I make this spreadsheet you can find in the description. Keep it updated with the current BIS list for gear and current BIS sims, so you can check that out if you want to. But before we get into the video, I do want to promote my UI. It's available for my Twitch and Discord subs and my patrons over on Patreon. So there's links below to all of those. It's completely updated for 11.1 for every spec and the new raid and dungeons. So if you're interested, again, links below. Anyways, let's just get into everything. So to start things off, we'll look at the notable changes Havoc got going into 11.1 and kind of, what they mean. So first, we'll look at the inertia and exergy changes. So inertia was changed from being activated by Unbound Chaos to being activated by Vengeful Retreat in the hunt. Then to actually get the damage increase, you need to either Fellblade or Fell Rush. So this is really good because this frees up Immolation Aura to be used as a Fury generator, and it's not tied to the buffs we want to line up anymore. Exergy was also changed, so it's now activated by Vengeful Retreat on use and the hunt on use. So Exergy, you easily have a 100% uptime just by Vengeful Retreating and using the hunt basically on cooldown, because they both give you a 20-second duration of Exergy. And if you use them both at the same time, I think it stacks up to 25 seconds, could be 26 seconds. So if you Vengeful Retreat then hunt, it goes up to like 25 seconds. Then you'll have your Vengeful Retreat up again for the next 20 seconds and so on. Then we have Any Means Necessary being removed, but we got a 25% mastery buff to compensate for this. We still do a ton of chaos damage without Any Means Necessary, so this mastery buff is still pretty significant. And Any Means Necessary was replaced by Screaming Brutality, which is basically the tier set from Amirdasil that passively throws out Throwglaives whenever you blade dance and death sweep. Then we have Cycle of Hatred being changed to not be uptime dependent anymore, which is really good. Now instead of reducing the cooldown of I-Beam based on every ability you spend, it reduces the cooldown of I-Beam every time you use I-Beam by 5 seconds up to 20 seconds. So after I-beaming 3 times, your following I-beams will all be a 20-second cooldown, which is absolutely insane for meta uptime. And it just feels so much better than the previous iteration of Cycle of Hatred, in my opinion. And we have a Fire Inside was also changed to make Immolation Aura do chaos damage instead of fire. So this just makes a Fire Inside viable after the removal of Any Means Necessary. And one more change we got was to a hero talent, Wounded Quarry. So this was changed from proccing an additional glaive slash whenever we meleeed to a funnel mechanic, which is actually insane. So 20% of all physical damage you do is funneled back into your Reaver's marked target. And this obviously is only for Aldrachi Reaver. It's a very, very potent funnel mechanic though. Very good. Now let's look at our hero talent choices. So we have Aldrachi Reaver, which focuses on soul fragments as a resource. So consuming 6 soul fragments allows you to cast Reaver's Glaive, which replaces Throwglaive. After casting Reaver's Glaive, you get 2 buffs, one enhancing Chaos Strike and one enhancing Blade Dance. Casting Blade Dance adds additional slashes separate to the Blade Dance slashes. Doesn't increase the amount of hits to Blade Dance. The slashes are their own damage events. Then casting Chaos Strike after Reaver's Glaive applies Reaver's Mark to your current target, which is a 7% damage increase debuff. So this is a little combo hero talent Reaver's Glaive thing. So the second ability you choose to cast after Reaver's Mark or after Reaver's Glaive, either Chaos Strike or Blade Dance, the effect gets doubled. So Reaver's Mark, if you cast Chaos Strike second, gets increased to 14%. And Blade Dance, if casted second, does 6 additional slashes. Then after casting both of the enhanced abilities, you get 2 buffs. One increases your attack speed by 20% for 20 seconds. We don't really care about this one. Then we get one that increases your damage done by 20% for 10 seconds. This is the one we actually care about. Now let's look at Fel-scarred and what it does. So Fel-scarred is all about meta, buffing your meta abilities and giving those meta abilities like Annihilation and Death Sweep an additional effect that does AoE damage when casting them. So whenever you I-beam, your next Annihilation and Death Sweep will do a burst of AoE damage called Demon Surge. After casting meta, your Immolation Aura, I-beam, and Sigil of Flame get changed into new abilities similar to how Annihilation and Death Sweep do. So there's 3 new abilities. Your Annihilation and Death Sweep will all have the AoE Demon Surge effect the first time you cast them, and the 3 new abilities also do more damage baseline. Now we'll just cover some quick things. So we'll look at the stat weights. Currently they're looking like crit, mastery, haste, and then verse. And we'll look at some quick gear things, mainly just trinkets. So unfortunately our best trinket comes from the raid and is from the last boss, so good luck getting that, but it's the Eye of Kazan. Our second best trinket is the Improvised Sephorium Pacemaker, which comes from the new Floodgate dungeon. So you definitely can farm that in Mythic Plus, which is really nice. And then the third best trinket is the House of Cards, which is a nice 2-minute on-use trinket that gives a bunch of mastery. More trinkets to look for in dungeons and delves are the Suspicious Energy Drink, which comes from Delves. Even though it only goes to 665 item level, it is a very good trinket. Then we have Signet of the Priority. That comes from Priory the Sacred Flame dungeon, which is an unused trinket, again, that gives secondary stats based on your highest secondary. And if you don't want to farm Delves for the energy drink, Azeroth's Resonating Heart from the Motherlode is also a pretty good option. Now for crafting your first spark, you're going to want to craft a weapon with Ascendance on it. This will be BIS for the entire season, with the very rare weapon Capos Molten Knuckles being your other BIS weapon. I also want to mention that the ring from Siren Isle is still BIS for the entire season as it stands. Supposedly it's going to get nerfed, but as of right now it's still BIS. And these are the jewels that you want to use with it. The Fathom Dwellers, which gives mastery, the Stormbringer, which gives all the secondary stats, and then Legendary Skippers, which cast a random jewel effect at 150% effectiveness. So now we'll look at the real stuff. So let's look at Fel-scarred sim and rotational stuff. So here's the current highest simming Fel-scarred build, simming at 2.583 mil, which is on the very low end of specs. We don't expect to play Fel-scarred in basically any situation. The only place where it will be decent is, or a good option, is in low Mythic Plus when packs die really fast. The Fel-scarred from Burst and those keys will be pretty good. The rotation for Fel-scarred in single target hasn't changed basically at all. So we pre-pull Immolation Aura, pre-pull Sigil of Flame, the Hunt, I-Beam, Annihilation, Fellblade, Essence Break, Death Sweep, Vengeful Retreat in meta, Death Sweep, Annihilation, Sigil of Flame, Fellblade if you get a reset, or Fel Rush with no reset, and I-Beam and Annihilation. So Havoc doesn't really have a rotation outside of its opener. It's mainly a priority thing. Cast Death Sweep and Annihilation during Essence Break. Make sure to Fellblade after getting the inertia buff from Vengeful Retreat and the Hunt, making sure not to waste them. Cast Essence Break and meta, never outside of it. And try and sync your Vengeful Retreat with I-Beam, as they're both 20-second cooldowns after the first 3 I-Beams. If you're using Exergy, this doesn't matter, just cast Vengeful Retreat on cooldown. And you want to make sure you spend your Demon Surge charges after you I-Beam and before you meta. So you want to make sure you don't waste those. Now we'll look at the AoE talents, sim, and rotation for Fel-scarred. So in AoE with Fel-scarred, we take the Throwglaive talents with Screaming Brutality and the Immolation Aura talents with a Fire Inside. The sim is a 5-target, 5-minute sim. It's at 6.38 mil, which is a bit behind Aldrachi Reaver, and we'll look at Aldrachi Reaver after this, but this is what the ideal opener looks like for Fel-scarred and AoE. Obviously Mythic Plus, I'm going to repeat myself with Aldrachi Reaver, but Mythic Plus has, a bunch of different variables, and you likely won't be able to do this opener all the time in AoE. This is just like the ideal situation, I guess. So you would want to enter the pull with Sigil of Flame, Hunt, Blade Dance, Immolation Aura until you run out of stacks, Fel Rush or Fellblade. Fel Rush is more damage in AoE. Then you I-Beam, Annihilation for Inner Demon, Essence Break, Death Sweep, Vengeful Retreat in meta, Death Sweep, Annihilation for Inner Demon again, Sigil of Flame, Immolation Aura again until you're out of stacks, then Fel Rush or Fellblade for your next inertia, I-Beam, Annihilation, and then you follow the priority. So Havoc, priority, and AoE and single target are basically the same. You want to cast Death Sweep and Annihilation during Essence Break. Make sure to Fellblade after getting the inertia buff. Don't waste your inertias. Cast Essence Break again in meta, never outside of it. If you're playing inertia, sync your Vengeful Retreats with your I-Beam. They're both 20-second cooldowns. And if you're playing a Fire Inside, make sure you're not capping your charges on your Immolation Aura. Now we'll look at Aldrachi Reaver. First, we'll look at the top simming spec for Aldrachi Reaver in single target. This build is focused on Throwglaive talents. It's simming at 2.88 mil, which is on the very high end of specs. Aldrachi Reaver is probably going to be the hero talent tree of choice for all situations. So these are the talents, what it's looking like, and it is simming pretty well. Now the opener is a bit different compared to Fel-scarred because of Reaver's Glaive. And with all these buffs that you're trying to line up, Aldrachi Reaver does seem like kind of overwhelming, but it's really face roll, honestly. You basically cast everything on cooldown and stuff just kind of lines up. This is what the opener looks like. So you Immolation Aura pre-pull, Sigil of Flame with 1 second left of the pull timer, Hunt, Reaver's Glaive, I-Beam, Annihilation, Fellblade for inertia, Essence Break, Death Sweep, Vengeful Retreat meta, Death Sweep, Annihilation, Fellblade, I-Beam, Sigil of Spite, and then Annihilation. So again, there isn't really a rotation outside of the opener. It's more of a priority. Death Sweep and Annihilation during Essence Break, Reaver's Glaive whenever you have one available, Sigil of Spite basically on cooldown outside of the opener. Don't waste your inertia buffs. Vengeful Retreat on cooldown, trying to sync it with I-Beam and Essence Break windows. Use the Hunt if you don't have a Reaver's Glaive charge ready. If you cast the Hunt with the Reaver's Glaive charge already, you will waste the one you currently have. Let's look at the AoE build in opener now. So this again is a 5-target, 5-minute sim. Wounded Quarry is broken in the sim, so the number isn't 100% accurate. But this is the build. So the opener is pretty similar. It's a little bit different. But again, openers in Mythic Plus, you know, a million different variables, and probably not going to be able to do the same thing every single time. Again, this is just like the ideal situation. So you want to open with Sigil of Flame, Hunt, Reaver's Glaive, Chaos Strike, Blade Dance, use all of your Immolation aura charges, Fellblade or Fell Rush, I-Beam, Annihilation, Essence Break, Death Sweep, Vengeful Retreat in meta, Death Sweep, Annihilation, Fellblade, I-Beam, Sigil of Spite, and then Annihilation for Inner Demon. So the prio for AoE is basically the same as single target, but in AoE, you always want to Blade Dance second after Reaver's Glaive. Again, if you're playing a Fire Inside, you don't want to cap on Immolation aura charges. So Aldrachi Reaver is a bit weird, so I'll kind of clear things up about it. So people seem confused on using Chaos Strike or Blade Dance first after Reaver's Glaive. So the gain from Reaver's Mark at 14% doesn't warrant enough of an impact to want to hold Blade Dance or Death Sweep for it. So Reaver's Glaive can basically just be sent on cooldown, and it doesn't matter if Chaos Strike or Blade Dance is cast first or second. Although, you know, like I previously said, Blade Dance you always want to cast second and AoE, but that doesn't matter because you don't need to hold Reaver's Glaive for it. So you can just send your Reaver's Glaive, Chaos Strike, and then Blade Dance whenever it comes up. Another thing with Aldrachi Reaver, all of these builds you can play Exergy instead of Inertia. It's like a 1 to 2% loss, but if you do play, you can just cast Vengeful Retreat on cooldown, which is a lot easier, but numerically it is worse. But in practice, it's probably even lower than 1 to 2%, honestly. Another thing to remember, if you're playing Inertia, the delayed inertia buff still does work. You can delay your Fellblade or Fell Rush even after the inertia buff from Vengeful Retreat or the Hunt is gone. So like this, if I Vengeful Retreat, you can see the buff. And now we wait until it's gone. So the buff's gone. If I Fellblade, I still get the damage amp from it. Yeah, I think I covered everything. Havoc's looking pretty solid for Season 2 for Mythic Plus and Raid. In Raid, I think it's doing a little bit better than Mythic Plus, but in Mythic Plus, it is going to be really, really good, especially with the Wounded Quarry funnel mechanic. It'll be really good for high keys. And playing Aldrachi Reaver, you get all the self-sustain from Soul Fragments, and you additionally get a 10% damage reduction whenever you Fellblade. Aldrachi Reaver is pretty strong for high-end Mythic Plus. Yeah. I think that's it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, or you can join my Discord or the Fellhammer Discord, and you can ping me there in either Discord, I don't care, and I can try and help you out. Link below is the wowhead article and the document that I made. So if you want to check all those out, you can. But yeah, until next time, see ya.